In today's Hot Takes, we asked and you answered when it comes to Robinhood, trying to avoid today back-to-back losses since their IPO yesterday. Kiko, the weakest that we've seen when shares closed down by about 8% for a company of that size. Today, though, bouncing back a little bit. We'll see if these gains can hold to make sure that it's not two straight days of losses after that debut. But we asked our viewers out there whether or not we thought, or you thought rather, the company is delivering on its stated goal, its mission statement to democratize finance for all. And the overwhelming majority of you, about 80%, said no. So not exactly a ringing endorsement in the first day stock moves, Akiko, and not a ringing endorsement on maybe the more ethical side of this. They're doing good.
I'm going to say that most people saw the question and sort of those who were burned, or they feel like they were burned by Robinhood during the height of the meme stock trade in January. Maybe there's some feelings there still. But if you look at the numbers in terms of how many retail traders are now in the market, how many have come online over the last year, I mean, it does point to a huge swell. Whether you can say that's because of Robinhood or not is a big question. But Zach, I saw the question, and it's sort of, we've heard the company say over and over, it's to democratize investing. I guess the question is, well, what is democratization? Is that just easy access into the market? Can we define it as those, bringing more and more people interested in the market who are investing? Because if it is the latter, then there's no question we have seen that already. I mean, you look at the numbers. In June, retail investors bought nearly $28 billion of stocks and ETFs. That's a number according to Vanda Research. And then you look at how many brokerage accounts have been opened up, 10 million new accounts opening up, according to JPM Securities. That is more than what happened last year. So clearly there's interest in there. And I would argue maybe there's a bit of irony in those who say, well, I'm not going to buy in on this stock because of what they did to us. Because if you look at the first day stock move, some would argue that the retail traders did have a hand in the stock move. And that's partly why it didn't perform as well.
Yeah, and I mean, it's again kind of tricky. Democratized finance for all is a little bit open-ended, I suppose, and maybe that's the point. Maybe the point is they don't want to, you don't want to spell out exactly what your mission statement is. And recently we've been seeing like 80 different mission statements in IPO filings leading up to IPOs here. But for Robinhood, there are questions we've already discussed at length around payment for order flow, everything else like that. But it was interesting to see the access open for retail investors. Didn't go as well, I think, as they had hoped on day one, because the idea is to open access for their customers, not just in their IPO, but other IPOs to come. And that has been an issue, that has been raised with retail investors saying, look, why are we locked out? Why is it everybody else? As we were discussing earlier, it's not always a guarantee you see shares pop on day one, but that is generally a lot of what we've seen this year. There's a lot here. I guess, there is a question mark of how many of the respondents in that poll were burned by the GameStop stuff that happened earlier this year. But it hasn't impacted the amount of users that keep signing up for the platform, again, adding about 4 million just in the last quarter. So as dissatisfied as they might be, not leaving the platform just yet.
Yeah, more than 22 million accounts total there. I mean, I would argue that regardless of what you think about Robinhood itself, there's no question it has generated interest for those who may never have traded a stock. Robinhood, the platform, has brought in a lot of interest on that front. So whether that is actual democratization, still to be debated, but a lot of the retail trade frenzy, you could argue, has been generated by the platform.
Yeah, and I don't know about the gamification. We were talking about that too. Other brokerages have something similar. It's come down a bit. I don't know. I don't know about that idea of it being bad. But today we're going to see where shares close. Of course, still a few hours to go in today's session to see if they can avoid back-to-back losses.